Hi guys, KiwiSylveon, and welcome back to Seduce Me 2, the Demon War Matthew's route. In the last episode, we made love to Matthew, we hunted down Simon Tabby, because apparently he had the rings, but now we found ourselves in the demon world. Yay us! And now we're going to explore. There's no way I was letting this chance pass me by. I have to look at something quick. There it is. Found it. Ba-bum. um, that's not what I wanted. Ba, 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 ba. Hmm. Let's see. Um, let's see. There we go. Found it. There- So let's see. Turn left, and then we go right. Longer and longer as I continued to walk. However, I suddenly stopped at the sound of a shout.
Beware my evil reign and bow to your new overlord!
What the? I turned towards where the shout was erupting from and saw a door ajar. As I peeked into the room the door led into, I stared at what I had saw. A floating creature was standing over the top of the table that held a map and miniature pieces, as if someone had set up a strategy board game. The creature was planted on top of a red marker, as if the marker was their mount.
I will rule the entire world, and no one can stop me, because I am the Demon Lord!
As it switched to a different personality, the creature quickly jumped and floated over to a purple marker, striking an exaggeratedly sexy pose.
Oh no! I will stop you with my massive boobies and butt powers! I will rule this world, not you! And everyone will love me!
As I watched as the creature bounced back and forth between pretending to be the Demon Lord and Diana, lost and intrigued as to how small and quick they were.
Your boobies cannot scare me, for I have a penis, and penises ward off fear!
Oh, brother.
You may have a penis, but I have an army that practically worships my overly curvy and ridiculously perfect body. Oh!
I stifled a laugh. This was actually rather amusing to watch, seeing the creature imitate the Demon Lord and their own leader.
Then come here, and I will show you the true power of a Demon Lord. Soldiers, attack!
I stared as the creature suddenly formed multiple little miniature soldiers on the opposite sides of the tables, using magic to make them clash and smack against each other as if an invisible child was playing with them. There were even some of the squeaky stuffed animals with glass figures smacking and crashing together. It was a chaotic little show.
Oh no! We're being overrun!
Not hold back! We'll beat him!
Ah! Ah! The pain! Why? I see it! I see the light! Ah!
I couldn't stop the laughter erupting from my stomach. I began to guffaw, amused by the little show I was witnessing. The creature, in surprise, poofed into a cloud of smoke before appearing and falling back over the side of the table in its regular size, or at least what I assumed to be the regular size. Whoa! I'm sorry. Are you okay?
Yep, I'm okay.
The creature managed to hop up and start floating again behind the table, giving me a thumbs up as if nothing was wrong. The clothes were a bit disheveled, but they gave me a toothy grin.
Hiya!
Hi, sorry for disturbing your,
Huh? Oh, my game! It's okay. I was just getting to the good part.
The good part? The creature nodded before leaning over the table and rearranging all the figurines that still remained on it.
Yeah, when Diana kills the Demon Lord and takes over the world.
Sweet! Oh, the way they put it made it seem like Diana was going to be an overlord. Was she really trying to take over the world? The creature looked at me and chuckled.
Oh, you don't know what's happening, huh? Well, we're all fighting the Demon Lord, and by we, I mean me and Diana and the others. But anyway, we're fighting the Demon Lord because he's a tyrant and we don't like tyrants. So we're gonna kill him and take over.
Sweet! That made it seem so simple and so joyous. You guys are really gonna kill him and take over?
Huh? Duh! The Demon Lord is completely crazy! He's burnt down so many villages and destroyed so many forests! He's only causing us harm! That's why we have to stop him!
I understand most of that, but the forest, really? I mean, they grow back eventually, but why get so mad about... Never mind. The creature then put the purple marker next to the red marker, glaring at both.
We have to kill him before he hurts anyone else!
With a flick of the wrist, they used the purple marker to knock the red one over violently, making it skid across the table toward the edge. Just from the look on their face, they seemed peeved about the Demon Lord. I would be too. Hell, I already was. You all will win. The creature looked up at me before letting go of the marker and placing their hands behind their head with a grin.
You think so?
I nodded with a reassuring smile. They seemed confident enough to battle the Demon Lord, and if it was for the best, then it had to be done. The creature nodded back to me before yawning.
So, you're gonna marry a demon, huh?
What? I stared at them, unsure of what the change of topic came from. The creature laughed a bit.
Don't tell me you forgot!
Oh, no, it's not that. It's just, where did this come from?
Well, you are heading home tonight. This is my only chance to ask why.
Why?
Yeah, why a demon? Why not another human? I mean, I'm not against demons and humans getting together or whatever, but I was just curious, you know? There are like billions of humans on your world. Why a demon?
I took a moment to think about the demon in question whom I was marrying. His face made me smile, and the thought of being able to be with him again made my heart warm up in excitement. His presence remained in my heart, and I knew my answer. Because I love him.
You love him?
Yes, I do. The creature stared at me as if I had 3 heads. What I said wrong? No, it could have been because it was true. Yet the creatures continued to stare at me oddly. What?
Huh? Oh, nothing. It's just weird.
What's weird?
Love. It's just weird, okay? But if it works for you, that works, I guess. It's not like I'm the one getting married.
You could be. I stared at the creature, unsure of what they meant. However, before I could question them, the yawn had stretched out.
Alright, I'm gonna steal some snacks. You should head back to your room or whatever so that Diana doesn't catch you snooping around. She doesn't like snooping. Or was it swooping?
I see you, Michaela. I see you. I see you. I see you. I see what you're putting down. Swooping is bad. Alistair. The creature shrugged as I nodded. It was probably for the best that I returned to my room. I knew my way back, so I left the room and returned to my room. And now this. Refused the food, of course. Wee! Wee! Oh, shit. Wee! Boop! Hi! Sanbei! Sanbei, I'm here. Where's Violet? Did you leave her back at home again? God damn it. You know she's gonna get ticked off. Yay!
Whoa!
Well, I do like Carrie.
I gotcha!
Twyla!
Whoa! Are you okay?
Erik!
Irene's alright too.
Love, I've got you!
James!
But Iridescent's so cute! I just... Look at her outfit. It's so adorable.
Whoa! Are you alright?
The wife game? I watched as the boys and the girls finally planted themselves on the ground before looking around. However, Matthew instantly bolted for me, causing Diane to jump away in surprise.
Whoa!
It's like, whoa! Matthew wrapped his arms around me, and I instinctively tensed from being charged at before taking in his scent and physical form. He was here. I wasn't dreaming. He really came for me, and he was here holding me.
Are you okay? Are you hurt?
Yeah, I'm kinda hurt considering you just rammed into me. But I'm fine otherwise. I'm fine. I couldn't almost believe it. Yeah, I almost couldn't believe it. But I wrapped my arms around Matthew's torso, pulling him tighter to me as I took in one more whiff of his scent. However, before I could melt into his arms in relief of his presence, he was forcibly dragged backwards.
Hold it, hold it, hold it!
Whoa!
Huh? I watched as the fairy figure gripped Matthew's hoodie and roughly pulled him away from me with an angered face. Wait, hold on!
Matthew!
Before anyone could react, Matthew spun and swiped at the fairy. They squeaked and released him, floating higher in the air.
Hands off!
You hands off!
I quickly rushed over and held Matthew's hands, wanting to bring his attention away from the fairy and back to me. Kiss him, duh. I reached up and grabbed Matthew's face, pulling him to me and kissed him. His eyes stared in shock before he melted against my lips and held my head in his hands, kissing me deeper. I closed my eyes in sync with his as I lowered my hands to wrap around his shoulders. I was beyond happy to feel him again. At that moment, I didn't even care how he found me. I was just happy that he was there with me again. Unfortunately, Matthew and I couldn't stay close for long. The very shouting caused us to pull apart and look at them.
He has the same aura as the Demon Lord!
Matthew's face is the same one I pulled. Rubbing her head and glaring at the fairy, Diane stepped up, crossing her arms and rubbing her temple.
Well, he is the son of the Demon Lord.
That's not what I meant! I'm saying... Ugh!
Come on, let's get you home.
Matthew gently took my hand and hugged me towards his brothers. However, this time Diana stepped in front of Matthew.
I'm afraid she can't leave.
And why not?
She's been cursed. She can't leave this plane without dying. But if you wish to kill your bride to bring her back to the demon world, then be my guest.
Matthew glared at Diana and stepped in front of me protectively.
Why should I believe you?
It's true, Matthew. The demon lord cursed me, so I can't leave. I placed my hand on Matthew's shoulder, causing him to turn his head and look at me in surprise. His expression morphed from anger to sudden fear.
What? You can't be serious.
No, we're just playing with you. This is our new way to play with you.
We are, but don't worry. We plan to kill the one who cursed her soon enough.
Yay!
When?
1 week's time.
1 week? What?
Matthew and Faye together. So. And then there's all this. The curse again. Don't worry, I will do the trap eventually. It's just I just want to do the curse for a little bit. We can fight too. Wait. Let's see. I'm thinking of how Jenna would react. She's like, "That's not fair, Diana."
I'm
Yay.
only trying to
Boop. Oh, hang
Thank
on.
you.
Oh,
Yes, my lady.
set up.
oh.
Faye. No.
Do you plan?
Now.
You look really cute.
Aww. Thanks. And then whip.
Hey.
The entire journey to my room became one filled with mild anger within me. At least Matthew was here to help me through this, but I still couldn't help but let the situation sink underneath my skin. This wasn't fair at all. I knew Matthew could sense my anger as he lightly squeezed my hand, which was gently cupped in his as he walked beside me.
Hey, what's wrong?
Tell him, duh. I told this for the past 3 routes. Always be honest. And I was shaky sigh and looked to him, letting it go. It's just unfair, you know. This whole thing has become a large, complicated mess, and I gritted my teeth and squeezed Matthew's hand back. I didn't want to complain, as things were going to be fixed soon, but it was still infuriating to think that I couldn't do anything immediately. Matthew slowly released my hand and wrapped it around my shoulders.
Hey, don't worry about it, alright? Think about it as a vacation or something.
A vacation? Matthew grinned and nodded, hugging me slightly to his side.
Yeah, a vacation to, see new sights?
I couldn't help the amused smile on my face as Matthew tried to make me feel better. It was another reason why I adored him. He did his very best to make sure I was happy. Despite the crappy situation we were in, I was thankful for that. I wrapped my arm around him and nodded. Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Matthew. Matthew smiled and nodded before kissing my cheek.
You're welcome. Anything for you.
Aww. He's so cute. Matthew and I continued to walk down the halls of the castle until we arrived at the same ambassador room I had slept in before. I guess the room was mine now. Stepping in, Matthew looked around in slight awe.
Whoa. Awesome digs.
That's what you say. Okay. Okay, Matthew. Whatever you say. Had a giggle at Matthew's surprise. It was almost like we had stepped into a hotel on a vacation, except this one was forced on us until the end of a civil war. It was mildly messed up, but it was a situation we had to deal with. I walked over to the bed and sat down, letting out a sigh at feeling the softness underneath me. The bed was still as comfy as last night. Matthew, however, began to walk around the room, taking in sight of the decor.
This is a really fancy room. I wonder what room the others got.
They got boxes. Well, Sam and Carrie got a box. James and Iridessa got probably a little cupboard. Eric and Irene probably got a closet. And Damien and Twyla probably got another shoebox. A shoebox, yeah. I smiled, watching Matthew ponder for a moment before replying to his statement. Yeah, apparently this is the open ambassador's room. I was able to sleep here when I arrived. Matthew stared at me dumbfounded for a moment before slapping his forehead and shaking his head.
Right. Time's different here. Holy crap, I forgot about that.
Wait, huh? I became confused as to what Matthew meant. What did he mean about time being different here? Matthew looked up at me and grinned sheepishly.
Well, how do I explain this without making it confusing?
Matthew rubbed the back of his head and stared at the fireplace before speaking.
Well, you see, time moves faster here compared to the human world. Like, much
That's
faster.
a little edit you did there.
If I remember right, then I think the time difference is every 5 hours here is 1 hour there? Maybe?
Wait, huh? So if I was here for a day, then... Matthew took a moment to do the math before nodding and speaking again.
Yeah, that's right. You were gone from the human world for about 5 hours.
5 hours? I was astonished. The time difference was really prominent and a little disorienting. Didn't that mean time moved faster here? I was getting confused, holding my head to try unscramble my thoughts as they collided. Matthew, however, rushed over to me and sat down next to me, hip to hip.
Hey, don't worry about it, okay? We found you, so that's all that matters.
I could only nod before looking at the ground. It was a lot to take in, but at least I wasn't missing for a day in the human world. However, I was going to be here for a week, so in accordance to the time difference, I would be missing for more than a day. How was everyone at home going to react? I could only hope that something was used as a cover to delay the wedding or the like. I looked up to Matthew, now a bit concerned.
Huh? What is it?
What happened while I was missing? Matthew frowned a bit and rubbed his head, running his hand through his fluffy hair as he spoke, staring at his knees.
Well, when you didn't come with the rings, we got kinda worried and tried to call you. When you didn't pick up, we kinda panicked, but Irene and Iridessa decided to rush over to the house to see what had happened. They came back, saying you were gone. We pretty much scrambled to use our magic to wipe everyone's memories, reschedule everything, and use the time to find out what happened.
Matthew pressed his lips together, most like him remembering what he felt during my absence. I felt bad, but there was nothing I could have done to stop it. Matthew shook his head and continued.
I guess we have to thank Simon for finding you. Without him, we wouldn't have figured out what happened.
Simon? Matthew nodded before stuffing his hands in his pocket and pulling out this infuriating stuffed animal. Simon blinked a couple times before looking up at me and giggling like he usually did. Simon? Wait, Simon? Simon jumped from Matthew's hands into my arms and crawled up to my shoulder, becoming immobile like a doll once he settled between my neck and shoulder. I gave his head a little pat before looking to Matthew. Well, he was the one that hid the rings. I had to find him.
I know, but after you were taken, he helped us pinpoint where you were, and bam! Here we are.
Yep, simple. Bam. Matthew chuckled a bit and ruffled some of Simon's fur.
I guess this little furball was useful after all.
Good thing you created him. I could just smile before leaning over to kiss Matthew's cheek, making him gasp slightly.
Huh?
At least you found me. Soon we'll be able to go home and get married like we planned. That gave me a little hope to let the thought sink in. Despite the terrible situation we were in, we would soon be able to go home. I was positive that we would win this war and everything would work out just fine in the end. Matthew seemed to agree, nodding as well as with a smile.
Yeah. We'll go home soon.
Matthew wrapped his arms around me and nuzzled the side of my head, making me softly giggle. My body felt relieved to have him near me, causing me to wrap my own arms around him. My heart was jumping with joy regardless of the situation we were in. Simon took the cue to hop off my shoulder and quickly skittered across the floor and up the fireplace mantel, resting on it with the decor that sat upon it. Matthew, however, soon released me and fell back onto the bed, feeling its softness.
Man, it's been so long since I felt a demon bed.
What's the difference from a regular bed? Matthew grinned up at me across his hands behind his head, lounging back onto the mattress.
Well, demons don't sleep in this world, so we get very comfy beds just so we can lay back and relax on.
Wait, demons don't sleep?
Nah, we're too paranoid that people will kill us in our sleep.
Then how the heck do you function?
Energy and food. As long as we have both, we can pretty much be awake 24/7.
The way Matthew seemed relaxed about the whole thing made it seem like being here. Ma- Made it seem like he liked being here or something. I don't know what Michaela was trying to do. Part of me was curious on whether or not he liked being in this world more than the human world, but I had to remember he went to the human world on his own accord. Besides, he was ready to marry me and live his entire life in my world. Matthew stretched and let out a groan before relaxing back on the bedsheets, laying on a small yawn.
Oh, I'm tired. You want to hit the hay?
I nodded, feeling exhaustion run over me, causing me to lie back and cuddle up to Matthew, nuzzling into his shoulders. Shoulders. Wow. Why do I always make that word plural every time I read it? He chuckled before wrapping an arm around me.
I love you so much. I promise we'll get home soon.
I smiled, kissing his cheek before closing my eyes and drifting to sleep. Tomorrow was going to be a long day. However, as I opened my eyes, I found myself not looking at Matthew or in my bed, but I felt the cold ground beneath me and something tightly wrapped around my neck. What the? I looked down, seeing my skin dusty and dirty, which only added more to my confusion. What happened? What was happening to me? I reached up and gasped once more as I felt a familiar collar around my neck, a chain dangling from the front and running behind me. I instinctively grabbed the collar, trying to pull it away from my neck, but as I did, something yanked the chain connecting to it and caused me to fall back, knocking the wind out of me. I turned my head to the chain pull to see a familiar imp demon glaring down at me and gripping onto my chain. It was the same imp demon from the vision Matthew showed me when Diana came around, but how could this be? I quickly grabbed the chain and tried to yank it from his hand, wanting to be free, but found no strength to actually pull it out of the imp's grasp. The imp merely cackled and pulled the chain again, making me fall forward onto my stomach. I froze. This was another dream, and I could tell that Matthew was going to be the villain once again. My mind began to panic as I scrambled up onto my hands and knees, looking around at the predicament I was in. I was in a large steel cage. My chain hung out between the bars in the hands of an imp guarding my cell. I had no neighbors, nor did I hear anyone else in the space with me. This was definitely a dream, and I needed to wake up before Matthew came around. Who knew what he would do with me? This was a dream, after all. I looked around, slowing my breathing and trying to think logically. What could I do? The first thing was to do something about the chain around my neck. Then I could try and break the door down somehow and be free. Seemed like a good idea. I quickly grabbed the chain again and swiveled on the ground to be on my bottom, locking my feet against the door and pulling the chain back. I managed to get some purchase, and luckily the imp couldn't manage to pull me forward from my struggle. A large bolt of red lightning suddenly traveled down the chain and shocked the collar around my neck, causing me to release a soundless scream. My body became electrocuted in red light and energy, sending waves of pain through every part of me. As he finally stopped, I let out a gasp and fell back onto the ground, shaking from the aftermath. My body felt entirely jittery and licks of pain brushed over my nerves from the shock. What the hell? I could barely look over at the imp from the pain I was feeling, seeing him smirk at what he'd done. However, as soon as I saw the grin appear on his ugly lips, a foot jammed into the side of the imp's head, causing it to buckle over. Huh?
You fucking pig fawn! What did you do?
Whoa, Matthew swore. Holy shit. Okay, he is evil. He swore. How dare you, Michaela? You make the cinnamon roll. You make the cinnamon roll swear. How dare you? My eyes glanced over to see Matthew in his demon form, glaring daggers at the fallen imp with his foot jammed into his cheek. As he looked to me, still angered with a snarl across his expression, I gasped, seeing the familiar cold gold over his eyes. The evil Matthew had returned. Gingerly, Matthew took up my chain and pulled me to the door, leaning in and keeping the chain beneath his head, so he could bring my head close to him as he could without me being pulled against the bars on the door. Staring into his eyes, I was surprised to feel calm about and almost hopeful that maybe this was a different Matthew. One who wasn't cruel and full of ill intent. Then again, he kept me in a cell and didn't release me, so that was a sign that I was wrong. Despite this, he spoke calmly and almost comfortingly.
Did he hurt you?
Of course, I nodded. Whatever electrocution the imp had done, it made me feel like I was dying for a split moment. Matthew, in response to my reply, glared at the imp with a deadly pair of eyes, causing the victim in question to slink back against the wall.
I ordered you not to hurt her. If she's hurt, then she can't give me proper energy, and I won't be able to rule this world properly. Do you know how much of a problem that would be?
The imp opened his mouth to protest, but as soon as he did, Matthew formed a knife in the air and chucked it into his open mouth. a flash of blood erupting from behind the imp's head as the knife embedded itself in the back of his throat. With a garbled whimper, the imp slowly collapsed on the ground, dying at last. I, however, could only watch horrified with my hands over my mouth. What was going on? Matthew turned back to me and pulled my chain slightly, causing me to look back at him with fearful eyes.
There! Now he won't hurt you anymore.
Why are you doing this? Let me go! Matthew's face slowly shifted to a cold, sadistic glare.
I would. But how will I know that you won't run away from me?
I began to panic. I wanted to be free. I wanted to run. But Matthew here wasn't going to let me go, and I didn't want to stay in the cell any longer. Despite every fiber in my body wanting me to awaken, I couldn't. She would be too stunned. She would not be able to say anything. I didn't want to speak to this man anymore. This person was not my Matthew. He was a figment of my nightmare, an illusion I was forced to endure while stuck in sleep. With a smirk, Matthew licked his lips and stared down deep into my eyes.
Aw, are you playing the quiet game now? You won't be playing it for long when I come back.
A disgusted shiver ran up my spine as I glared hard at Matthew. He, however, only chuckled and stepped back, sliding his hand up to the end of my chain.
I'm not in the mood to take your energy now. I'll come back another time.
With a flash of blue energy, the chain in his hand vanished and reappeared above me, giving me enough slack to let me lie down, but only if I was directly underneath it. I grimaced and pulled at the chain, still wanting to be free from it, but only heard a chuckle of Matthew's cruel sadism as he turned and began to walk away.
You better be prepared when I get back. I've got a world to rule after all. Can't spend all my time making sure you're ready.
A violent quake ran through my body as I began to struggle harder, making him laugh as he left the hall out of my sight. Let me go! Let me go! I shut my eyes tightly, pulling and tugging as much as I could. Despite it being to no avail, I screamed once again, this time breaking the illusion around me and waking up at last. Let me go! I sat up, screaming through the air as my hands clasped themselves around my neck. You sure you haven't been sleeping with your hand around your neck? My scream reverberated out the room, barely letting me notice that Matthew falling out of the bed beside me.
Whoa!
I quickly looked over at the sound of a hard thump on the ground, seeing Matthew's curly head peek out from the side of the bed. He ran his hand over his hair as a pain groan escaped his lips.
Ow.
Oh shit! Oh my god! Knowing what had just happened to me, I scrambled across the bed and slid off to the bed to kneel beside Matthew. Luckily, he wasn't hurt bad, but he rubbed his head, obviously disoriented from falling out of bed. To add more insult to injury, Simon crawled down from the mantel and began to poke at Matthew with his mini knife. Thankfully, the knife wasn't actually sharp, so all it did was prod and poke at Matthew's skin without drawing blood.
Ugh, Simon! Simon, knock it off!
Matthew flailed his arm, almost knocking Simon away with his hand. Taking the hint, Simon jumped back onto the bed and began to hop around on top of it as its own distraction while I looked to Matthew. I'm so sorry. Are you okay?
Huh? Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine. Oh.
That still gets me. It's like, yeah, yeah, I'm fine. Ow. Matthew grimaced, stretching his back and neck before shaking his head and looking up at me, slightly bleary-eyed from sleep.
Are you okay? Or did you have another nightmare?
I looked down to the ground between us, remembering the nightmare I was trapped in. I could only nod, pressing my lips together, causing Matthew to frown.
I'm sorry. Do you want a hug?
Yes, please. Please. Please give me a hug, Matthew Cinnamon Roll. Despite the nightmare, I still loved Matthew and needed him with me. I knew the dreams I was having weren't real, and even though they were trying to warn me of something, Matthew was still the man I was going to be married to. The man I was going to be married to. Matthew smiled softly before swiveling on his knees and hugging me to his body, laying his head on my shoulder. I wrapped my arms around him and closed my eyes, taking in his reassuring scent. A set of knocks, however, appeared at our door, however. Matthew and I shot our heads in the direction of the sound.
Oi! Time to wake up! We got grub!
Shut up, Sam.
Ugh, can you not call it that?
Matthew and I looked at each other before scrambling up onto the bed, forgetting that Simon was on it. I slid across the bed and sat down, trying to make it seem like I had just woken up, as Matthew tried to call over, but wound up making Simon release a heavy squeak.
Ah!
Once again, Matthew fell out of bed and landed on the floor, releasing another shout of pain.
Is everything all right in there?
No, we're just playing.
We're fine. We're fine.
Simon, cackling at Matthew's mistake, scrambled up back onto the fireplace mantel and became a doll once more, as I cleared my throat. Come in! As the door opened, Matthew threw himself onto the mattress, placing his head on his hands like he had completely planned to kneel beside the bed, as his brothers and their wives entered with plates of food in their hands. Damien and Twyla, the ones who were carrying extra plates of food, stopped and stared at us with raised eyebrows. Damien, of course, looked over at the mantel at Simon before smiling and shaking his head, passing his extra plate to Matthew.
Thanks, bro.
You're welcome, Matthew.
Here you go.
Oh, thank you. Aw, Twyla, she is so cute. Twyla placed her extra plate in my hand and smiled before walking over to an empty space with Damien and eating. On the plates were sliced fruits, bread, cheese, and some sort of jerky. James and Sam, however, were the only ones who didn't start indulging in what was on the menu.
So, we have less than a week to prepare for the Demon Lord.
You know, fuck me. But I'm excited as shit to finally get to kick his ass into the ground.
Kagi, I know what you mean now. Sam swears like a sailor. And I understand now. Why would Michaela do that to you? Poor Kagi. The other brothers seemed to agree, even Matthew. However, I was stuck in the nightmare I had before. I unconsciously rubbed my neck, remembering the feel of the collar around me. Doing so caught Iridesce's attention.
Hey, what's wrong? Did you hurt your neck?
I instantly looked up and stared, seeing everyone now look at me in curiosity. Sam looks like he's a little ticked still. Sam should have a curious look, not a pissed off one. He should be looking like Matthew or somebody. I mean, I know his face can do that. From his route, he can look worried. Or is it in every other route he's supposed to be the grumpy, pissy one? I instantly looked up and let's see. I shook my head violently, not wanting anyone to know what had happened. No, I'm fine. The wives seemed unconvinced, but they nodded anyway. The boys, however, focused on the battle ahead of us.
So, do we plan on training like we usually do?
That seems to be the best plan. It's been a long time since we've actually fought in a battle.
It's funny. I watched the interview and, with the cast of this, and Bradley, the voice of James, he actually sits with a sheet over his head, a blanket over him, so he can get muffled, I guess. So that's why it sounds so deep. He records with a blanket over himself.
Have you fought in one before?
The boys, despite the shame in their eyes, nodded slowly in unison.
Part of us living in our father's castle involved receiving the occasional unexpected visitor.
Holy crap, man. I remember one time there was this group that just stormed in and tried to take on the old man, but he sent James to take care of him. I'd never seen James so pissed off before.
That's because they threatened to burn the castle down if I didn't surrender. Obviously, that was out of the question.
Well, Sam, what about you when you got into those fights with the army generals? They weren't too happy about you being so testy with them.
They got cocky and thought they could push me around. Fuck them and good riddance.
The more I listened, the more battle stories seemed to be more about James, Eric, Sam, and Sam. Damien obviously stayed out of fighting, but what of Matthew? I looked at Matthew, seeing him simply eating his food, staring down his plate. Did he not have anything to add to the conversation? What about you, Matthew? And Sam's face, like, you asking the twerp? Or shrimp? Pipsqueak? Whatever he wants to call him in this line. Matthew looked up at me in surprise, a piece of jerky wedged between his teeth and lips.
Huh?
I fought back, giggling at the sight, but as everyone turned over and looked at Matthew, I relaxed a bit and waited. I was curious to see if Matthew had any stories of his own to tell. To my surprise, Matthew swallowed the jerky in his mouth and shook his head.
No, I wasn't the fighting type. Never have been, really.
My mind flashed back to him fighting Malix, and how he managed to not only duck and dodge Malix's gun, but also make Swiss cheese out of the devil in question. Why would Matthew lie? Sam scoffed and spit into the fireplace, making us all look over at him. Violet, watch. Sam, don't spit in the fireplace. It might spit back at you, but set you on fire.
What a crock of bullshit, Pipsqueak.
Bullshit? What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Sam, quit rubbing off on Matthew.
Don't fucking play dumb with me. I remember you massacring an entire gang of Vince because they looked at your mom funny. I was the one who had to clean that shit up.
He suddenly went wide-eyed at Matthew, who in turn stared right at me with a fearful frown on his face. He got into fights here? I guess it was expected of a demon to at least get into one fight in their life, but Matthew and Massacre?
No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't me.
Like hell it wasn't.
Dude, shut up!
Make me!
Wait,
Dude, shut up!
Make me!
I will!
Sam and Matthew jumped out from their seats and marched at each other, slamming their foreheads together and snarling, fire burning in each of their eyes. I quickly rushed up and pulled at Matthew's arms, trying to bring him back to the bed. Matthew, calm down!
Sam, knock it off!
I could see, actually, Violet would be doing that too. She'd say it that exact same way. Except she would put a fuck in there. She'd be like, Sam, knock the fuck off. Knock it the fuck off, or something like that. Despite Harry also pulling Sam's arm, neither of us could pull our incubus away from the other as they battled each other with their eyes. The air in the room quickly became full of tense energy until suddenly both of the boys were swatted over their head.
Fuck!
Ow!
Let me hear Sam again. Please?
Fuck!
Ow!
Fuck!
Ow!
Fuck!
Ow!
Fuck!
Ow!
Fuck! 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 Fuck!
Ow!
Love that.
Both of you! That's enough!
I looked up to see James holding his fist that he had used to sock his brothers with, a glare painted over his face. Matthew and Sam looked up at their eldest brother, both irritated at being hit, but silent enough to know not to talk back. A moment passed before Sam stood up straight and shook his head, finally allowing Carrie to pull him back to a spot where they could sit down.
Whatever.
Matthew, on the other hand, straightened up and continued to glare at James, almost in defiance. Something sparked in his eyes, something that made me worried, so I pulled his arm back, trying to catch his attention. Hey, come on! Matthew finally looked at me, slowly receding back to his normal gaze, before nodding and rubbing his head over the newly forming bruise while sitting down beside me.
Well, this is an interesting family reunion.
Shut up, Diana. Diana's voice suddenly made all of us turn to the door and see her settle in the doorway with Diana leaning against the archway. As she pushed off and stepped in, Settle followed and closed the door.
Can we help you?
Irene's like, excuse me, bitch. This is a family reunion, and you're not part of it.
Possibly, if you all want to survive this war and go home. Especially you, my dear.
It's like, possibly. Diana looked over to me and crossed her arm under her bosom. What did she mean? Yay.
So, you, most of all.
Huh? Me?
Apparently, There are guidelines to breaking this curse. Not only do we have to kill the Demon Lord, but you have to be nearby when it happens for the curse to even break.
What?
Shadow.
Okay, I gotta go because my thingy is finally going off. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye!